Hello all, welcome back guys. Today we are going to discuss a very important concept with the classes known as constructors. I'm going to use the same example because it's easy to show since you guys worked on this example in our last tutorial. The class one in the last tutorial we discussed about classes and methods. So we created two classes in the same file. For the class demo we created a class named as car, and inside the car we created different methods. Maybe one more thing I want to show you guys before starting with constructors, which is the use of this keyword. So if you guys remember, we created this method set make and passed an argument make of car, assigned it to the instance variable named make. So let's say I am calling this method from here, right? Set make, and I'm passing my make named as called as BMW. So let's say if I want to name it as make and I give it as make, then what happens? You guys see the warning? The assignment to variable make has no effect. Why it doesn't have no effect? Because inside any method the closest definition would have the effect. So this make is also this one and this is also this one. So assigning make to make doesn't make sense. If I have similar name, then what do? If I want to access this variable named as make, same names, what do? I can use this keyword, this dot make. What this keywords does is it accesses the instance variable of that class, of that object. So now this make coming as an argument to this method is getting assigned to this dot make, which is our class's instance variable. Okay, so this is the story about make. Now let's go to the constructors. So what are constructors? Constructors, you can think of it as a method, but it's actually not a method. It gets called when an object is created. So when we first create an object, like here we did car C1 new car, the constructor is called automatically. You don't have to make any explicit calls for constructor like we do for methods. See, we do for methods C1 dot set make or C1 dot get make, C1 dot get here, and all these calls. We don't make any calls for constructors. It gets executed when we create the object of the class. And another characteristic of a constructor is it holds the same name as of the class. So let's say I want to create constructors for my classes. Let's say public car, and that's it. So this is my constructor of my class. Even if we don't create a constructor, every class has a by default constructor which assigns default values that we don't see, but this is my no argument constructor. Constructors can be multiple inside a class with different list of arguments inside these parentheses. So let's take a look at them. So what I want to do is constructors are mainly used for initializing the instance variables values, these variables values. So let me declare a little few more variables like int speed of my car, and what do I say, maybe int gear. Yeah, okay, let's call it int gear. Let's make them private because I don't want let's not make them because I'm not creating any set or get methods for them right now. So what I can do is I can gear equals to 1 and speed equals to maybe 0. This, so, and let me print out this one. So if I do this, executing constructor without arguments. Why I'm saying without arguments? Because I haven't passed any argument to this constructor, right? And let me run this code. So if you see in my class demo, I'm just creating a object of this class here, and I'm not doing anything else. So if I run it, and you know what, let me just comment these print statements. So or maybe it's been used. Let's not have Eclipse throw the warnings. So let me run it. If I'm doing this, see, before even printing this, the make of the car line, it's printing out executing constructor without arguments. Why? Because we have already created the object here. So the object is first created, and as I mentioned, when we create an object of a class, it executes the constructor, it invokes the constructor, so it sets the parameters for the constructor, for the class. So I can have the constructor with the same name but a different argument list. Maybe let's say int start gear and int start speed, and let me set it to gear equals to start gear and speed equals to start speed. And let me copy this line so I can print this out, executing constructor with arguments now. And see, it's not gonna run right now. I just wanted to show you why. So when I'm doing this, it's still running executing constructor without arguments. Why? Because when I created the object using new keyword, I'm just calling the car with empty parentheses, which is calling my first constructor. To call this constructor, I have to create an object with my default arguments passed, whatever speed or gear I want to set. So let's say I want to set the gear 1 and speed 0, my start speed and my gear 1. And now I'm calling the constructor with arguments, that is the second one. So if I'm gonna run it now, you can see executing constructor with arguments. So now it ran my second constructor. So that is the benefit. So you guys might have seen or might not have seen, we'll cover all these things when we get to the actual programming, when we do Selenium. We use constructors, we initialize these instance variables with default values when we are calling the class, basically when we are creating the object. So that's where we use constructors. There's one more part of it. So let's say I'm let me comment it out and let me show you guys one more thing. So I'm still calling the constructor without arguments, and if I wanna call this constructor inside my constructor without arguments, I have a way. If you remember, I just showed you this keyword, guys. So this is the keyword, and I need two things to do. I need start char and I need speed. Okay, why it's still giving me error? Constructor call must be the first statement in a constructor. So if I'm calling a constructor inside a constructor, then it has to be the first line. That is the second thing. So the first thing is this keyword, and the second thing is it should be the first line. So when I'm gonna run this, guys, just see the print out here, the console print thing. I'm running it now, and if you notice that instantly what it does, it executing constructor with arguments, then executing constructor without arguments, and then my existing print statement. I didn't call the constructor with arguments, I commented it out. I am creating the object without arguments. The first thing it's doing is it's calling the constructor with arguments from the constructor that I called, and inside it it's printing out my statement as executing constructor with arguments. Then it's setting these things, and actually it has already set these things here also, and then it is printing out the statement executing constructor without arguments. So today we have learned about constructors, what constructors are, how can we initialize the instance variables of the class, how can we call a constructor inside a constructor, what's the use of this keyword. That's quite a bit. uh, I I hope you guys are practicing every day. Just write this code with your hand. I know it sounds silly, but it actually works when we type with our hands. When we type, and it really gets into the practice, and we don't get confused. Otherwise, I've seen in my initial programming days, I'm even getting confused between methods, constructors, instance variables, even in the syntaxes, small syntaxes. So it's very helpful to practice. See you in our next class. Until then, guys, practice as much as you can, and you can find this code on our Udemy website. I'll post it there. Thank you for attending, guys. See you next time. Thanks.